there was a lot of brave stuff going on today.
This morning, continuing coverage. Massive fires across Boulder County. No end in sight.
Unfortunately, for myself and all the other neighbors, all the houses on Turnberry Circle are burnt down.
And no count of the damage and loss.
Nobody has been killed by this, and I hope it stays that way, because lives are more important than physical structures that we can replace.
Our team is keeping track to keep you safe. 9 News Morning starts right now.
And good morning, everyone. I'm Gary Shapiro, live in Boulder County this morning. As we continue our coverage of the Marshall Fire, we're going to get into this neighborhood in the Spanish Hills neighborhood in just a little bit and look at some of the devastation there. But we want to show you a map right now. This is the evacuation map. As of right now, some 35,000 people have been evacuated. The red that you see here is under the evacuation order. The yellow is under a warning, and that includes some of the western areas of Westminster. As the sun comes up in just a couple of hours, we're going to get a better picture of what this all looks like. It's not going to be a pretty sight. We just heard that the fire, they think it's now about 6,200 acres compared to fires in the mountains, which are, you know, some 200,000 acres. Doesn't sound like much, but because of the density, because the houses are so close together, there's going to be a lot of missing houses, a lot of damage. More than 500 is what they're still saying. I'll send it back to you guys, and we'll check back in just a little bit.
All right, thanks, Gary. It is now 6 a.m., and that means this fire has now been burning for 19 hours. It started at about 11 a.m. yesterday. The sheriff saying they had eyewitnesses talking about down power lines starting it, and then, of course, the luck of the draw would be on the wind that probably took down those lines that spread that fire throughout and continues to spread it even as we speak, but with far less winds now, Ed.
Yeah. Right. It was the perfect storm because of those strong winds and so dry around here. You get a little spark, that's all you need, and you see the result of that. The winds have died down, but with this new system moving in, they could be 20 to 25 mile-an-hour gusts, but certainly not to the 80 to 100 mile-an-hour gusts we saw yesterday. We're 29 degrees right now, with clouds beginning to move in this afternoon. We see the snow right about 2 or 3 o'clock begin to push into the metro area. Here it is at midnight. If you're out and about, you could see some snow heavy at times, and that continues into tomorrow morning. And then we see the cloudy skies and then sunshine by 5, 6 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday, but cold air is left behind. So 38 degrees with snow developing today. Then for tonight, cloudy, snow, 6 degrees the low. Tomorrow, only 16 for the high with clearing skies, but it's short-lived. You can see on Sunday, mostly sunny, warmer, seasonal, 43 degrees, even warmer for your Tuesday and into Wednesday. But Wednesday, 51 degrees comes early, late Wednesday into Thursday. Here comes our next system, and that could bring more significant moisture to the area, snow to the mountains, and maybe more rain and snow down here.
Just a few minutes ago, we learned the fire is now listed at 6,200 acres, quadruple the original number that was given yesterday afternoon. And this is a look at the fire boundaries, a map from InsaWeb, and you can see that it has scattered. But you watch the Boulder Turnpike go right through the middle there. Superior and Louisville, clearly the hardest hit areas of that fire. In about 45 minutes, first light is expected, and we'll get a chance to get a better look at what this day will bring as far as those communities.
And 35,000 people evacuated as well. We have some must-see video, too, a proper view of the scope of the Boulder County fires. Gretchen said that her son was flying back to Seattle when he took this video over the Superior, Louisville area Thursday evening. And that's the view from yesterday. We're tracking what's happening now as well. We want to send things over to our reporter in the field right now, Jordan Chavez, who at last check was at 96th and Dillon. What are you seeing right now, Jordan?
Yeah, we are still in that area at this time, and we're still seeing those closures like you're seeing right here behind me. But exactly like what we had talked about in the last hour, things are changing very quickly around here, whether it's these new border lines that are being set up. You're seeing another emergency vehicle coming up here. We're going to have to monitor what exactly they're doing. Or you're seeing some of those weather conditions changing. As Ed was talking about, with this new storm coming in, we are experiencing some of these gusts that are kicking up right now. Again, not nearly what we were experiencing yesterday out in this area, but those 20-mile-per-hour gusts. And what happens when that really starts to go off is you can't see them right now. This is how much fast things are changing out here, but there are some flames just over here behind me that are kind of smoldering, and when those winds really start to pick back up, you're going to see them flare really strong. And that's exactly what these crews are worried about, is if those gusts get too strong, it could push those flames to skip and hop all the way over to where we are standing right now. So we've actually been told to be prepared that we might have to be pushing farther and farther out with this boundary. But again, they are set up here to keep people who don't need to be in that area safe. As you saw, one car was able to just get through, but you need special authorization or a really good reason in order to do that. Otherwise, you're going to experiencing the same thing all the way around that fire line. Of course, when things like these happen, Coloradans really want to step up. A lot of people online reaching out saying, how can we help? Well, Victoria De Leon is out at the Boulder Rec Center right now with more information on exactly that. Victoria, for everybody that wants to help, for everybody that has these big hearts, what are they being told right now?
Yeah, right now, Jordan, there are a couple of organizations that are already ahead of the game and ready to help. But as far as that community support, I think it's really going to depend on what the need is as we start to learn more. The YMCA Evacuation Center in Lafayette, they said they are good with donations. They are overwhelmed by community support. The North Boulder Rec Center as well, they are not accepting donations at this time. But the Salvation Army will be providing 1,000 meals 3 times a day to evacuees and first responders. Those meals will be taken to the YMCA Evacuation Center in Lafayette, and we'll be chatting with them in a couple of minutes actually to see what more community members can do to help. The American Red Cross of Colorado also set up an evacuation center at the YMCA of Northern Colorado, and you can always support them with monetary donations, but we are still waiting to hear back to see if they need any food, water, or supplies, and we'll of course let you know as soon as we do hear back. The Community Foundation Boulder County has set up a wildfire fund for people wanting to help with cash donations, and we've of course will continue to update this very likely growing list of community groups and organizations that do want to help out those thousands of people impacted. But for now, we want to also check in with Gary. Gary, what's going on where you are?
Yeah, we are at South Boulder Road and 68th right now. This is one of the neighborhoods that had a lot of damage and a lot of burned homes last night. It's kind of in unincorporated Boulder County. It's a little bit outside of Louisville. You were talking about all the people earlier that have been evacuated, some 35,000. Well, lots of animals have been evacuated too. We've gotten a lot of calls from people who are concerned about those animals, so I want to go through a couple of things right now, whether it's household pets or whether it's farm animals. There are places that you can take them. There are a lot of four-legged lives at risk in this fire too. The Foothills Animal Shelter in Golden says it is no longer doing temporary placement for pets because Jefferson County notified them that they are no longer needed. So don't take your animals there. But you're asked to contact your county animal control in Jefferson County if you're worried about any pets at the homes. The Riverside Shelter in Adams County says it can take livestock or large animals. That number to call is 303-288-1535. There's a lot to cover today. We've been talking about when the sun comes up, it's not going to be a pretty sight. There's going to be a lot of burned homes. But the neighborhood that we were just in over by Harper Lake, it was very strange. I mean, it had 3 or 4 homes that were just burned to the foundation, and then it had 2 or 3 homes that were standing. And so the fire skipped around, and you know, with 100-mile-an-hour winds, who knows how that works, but they're going to see a lot of that sort of thing when the sun comes up later today. I'll send it back to you guys now.
And it's still actively burning too. I know a lot of people have questions about that. 35,000 people evacuated between 2 entire counties. And right now emergency management is saying, you know, don't go home, still actively burning. They will have updates too.
Yeah, we want to give you a good idea of what's going to be happening here in the next few hours. In about 40 minutes, we're expecting to see daylight The sunrise is still over an hour away, but we'll start to see daylight a little bit before 7 o'clock. And that's when what Michelle Kelly was telling us, they will start to be able to get in the air and start doing some aircraft mapping, get a better idea of what has happened. And as far as containment, as far as those perimeters, those borders that they have estimated now, we showed you that just a few minutes ago with InsaWeb. But one of the things they also talked about yesterday was Sheriff Pelly referenced 580 homes that he felt were gone in those two areas. That's just Sagamore and Old Town Superior. Michelle Kelly talked about give or take 500 homes. But that process of actually going home to home is something that is a painstaking process, because they obviously not only are working with those homes, we're still counting on people. They're still trying to account for everyone. And as you have to go home to make sure that this home is counted, you also have to make sure that people aren't there, that everyone did get out. So far, we have no reports of fatalities, very few injuries. But the fear was yesterday that Sheriff Pelly was expressing that those numbers, he'd be surprised if they didn't change. So this is going to be a very busy next few hours. Sky 9 will be up in the air soon, giving us a look at what they'll be seeing, as well as those aircraft mapping procedures and all of the work that has to be done today, still while trying to get the fires completely out.
And it's dark. I mean, there's a lot that goes into that as well. We're waiting for sunlight to get a true idea of the sheer destruction, the totals. We'll have all the updates from the county sheriff on air and online at 10 o'clock. That's when they will be having a press conference as well. For now, we want to send things over to Ed, talk about the winds dying down and also snow that's incoming too.
Exactly right. That's the one thing that you really want to know is we have snow coming. We have a storm on the way, so we'll see some gusty winds, not nearly what we saw yesterday, but they'll go to 20 to 25 miles an hour, and temperatures will be in the 30s as snow develops. Look at tomorrow as snow ends. Temperatures only in the teens, but a quick warm-up. We're back in the 40s by Sunday.
Steps over the ridge to realize that not just my home, but the whole neighborhood is completely wiped out.
And as far as our weather goes, we had 49 degrees yesterday. Things are really changing today. We won't see the gusty winds certainly that we saw yesterday as they got to 100 miles an hour, but we will see 20 to 25 as these winds kind of move in with this next system that's coming our way. We're at 29 degrees right now, mostly clear skies around here, and that's what we will see, the clear skies and then the clouds and then the snow. So we have a winter storm warning for the mountain areas for up to 25 inches of snow in some favored areas. They could get up to 3 feet, and the winter weather advisory is a light blue shaded area. They will get anywhere from 5 to 10 inches of snow and winds to 35 miles an hour. Now, if you look to the east, we have a winter storm warning for the foothills of the north, and that will be up to a foot of snow there from 5 a.m. Friday to 11 a.m. on Saturday, and a winter weather advisory over the rest of the plains for 2 to 6 inches. Some bands of snow could give us more snow than that, but that goes until 11 a.m. on Saturday. We have the avalanche warning effect until 8 a.m. on Saturday for most mountain locations, and here over the eastern plains, some gusty winds only about 20-25 miles an hour, but that could give you wind chills to 29 degrees below zero, and that's dangerous wind chill area. We have the clear skies, then the clouds, and then here comes the snow. Snowing in the mountains right now. About 3-4 o'clock, we start to see the snow move into the metro area, and around midnight you will see snow if you are out and about, but by Saturday at 5 p.m. it does clear out. We see sunshine, but very cold weather is left behind. Highs today before the cold air moves in will be in the 30s, 40s, even 50s, nearing 60 degrees over southeastern sections of the state, 20s, 30s, and 40s as you head to the west. Look at the lows tonight, though. Only single digits and teens around here, and well below the zero mark in places like Gunnison and Alamosa, and even below zero readings on the eastern plains. These are right off the thermometer. You add the winds, that's when you get the 29 below zero wind chill. So here's the forecast for today: increasing clouds, snow developing, 38 degrees. Then for tonight, cloudy, cold, snow, 6 degrees. For tomorrow, snow ending with clearing skies, but a high of just 16 for a bitterly cold New Year's Day. But then here comes the warm-up. 43 on Sunday with sunny skies, 48 Monday, 49 Tuesday. Then Wednesday, we start out at 51, but late in the day, here comes another system into the area. Rain and snow showers in Denver, more snow for the mountains, and colder weather here for Thursday and Friday.
Ed, thank you. And this morning, we continue to track what officials say is the most destructive fire in Colorado history. Right now, 6,200 acres scorched, more than 500 homes destroyed.
Of course, there are many questions that many people have suddenly to deal with. What should you do if you or your loved one's home was impacted? On the phone now with us is Carol Walker. She's the executive director of the Rocky Mountains Insurance Association. Carol, what would the first steps be for someone who's been directly affected by these fires?
Yeah, Tom, so many of our fellow Coloradans, friends and neighbors are waking up to the heartbreak of yesterday's fires and even continuing in today. Their first thought is, where can I stay? Where can I stay tonight? And what does my insurance cover? It's critical that people understand their insurance can help them when they're under a mandatory evacuation order. They have a certain amount of coverage under their homeowners or renters insurance policy. And under that evacuation order, it triggers what we call additional living expenses. This will provide them with a certain amount of out-of-pocket money that will help them stay in a hotel, get lodging, also pay for out-of-pocket expenses while they're out of their home. So what they need to do this morning is immediately contact their insurance agent or their company. And with the magnitude of these fires, the insurance companies are already activating their catastrophe teams, so they will put extra resources into this. We've provided lists where if you don't have your insurance company's contact information, we can help get that to you. But certainly that should be one of your first calls this morning. Let them know where you are. And if you do have insurance, you likely have some extra financial help for living elsewhere. So you don't have to stay in that shelter. You'll have extra money for lodging.
Carol, what's the timeline for getting help? I know it's early and this is all coming down now, but can you give us a timeline?
Yeah, Natasha, unfortunately, this is what insurance companies do. This will likely be our most destructive wildfire based on what we're seeing initially. It's very reminiscent of the Waldo Canyon fire in Colorado Springs back in 2012, where we saw urban areas. So the insurance companies work 24/7. Their lines are open 24/7. The insurance agents are geared up for this. So they will be there to help walk you through that process. Have access to those checks for additional living expenses early on. Then as you return home, they'll start talking, what does that process look like? In meeting with your adjuster, if your home is uninhabitable, find you somewhere to live elsewhere long term. Those are all things that I know everyone's panicked this morning. They're not thinking that far out. The first thing they really need to do is get in touch with their insurance company, their agent, start walking through that process and get any of that out-of-pocket money they may need. If you are out of your home or staying with friends and relatives, hang on to those receipts that you use for food, for other expenses. Those will be reimbursable if you do file a claim, Natasha.
Well, Carol Walker, we appreciate you taking the time to join us. Obviously, our hearts go out to all those people who are affected, and there is a myriad of issues they have to deal with. But some of what you talked about are things that might be well handled in the next 24 hours. So hopefully that's going to help. Thanks, Carol.
Yeah, Tom, just know that there are a lot of resources available to help them through what we know is going to be a process and a very, very heartbreaking process, but we're here to help.
I'm sure a lot of people's heads are just spinning trying to figure out what to do next. Carol, thanks for your help again this morning. Now, as far as the latest developments, the 9 News app, of course, is one place where we continue to put all the information, evacuation orders, even those terrible destruction totals, and the updates from anybody. The county sheriff will be part of the Boulder Office of Emergency Management's update that we're expecting at 10 o'clock. So we'll have all that for you as well. You can find it on the 9 News app.
Now, this fire is not the only major story happening today. Governor Jared Polis reduced the punishment for I-70 crash driver, originally sentenced to 110 years. We'll examine what is next for Rogelio Aguilera Maderos just ahead at 6:25.
All right, good morning, everyone. I'm Darius Johnson here with 9 News. We are continuing to follow the Marshall Fire this morning. I just provided you all with an update from Boulder County Incident Management Team. They told me that the fire has now grown to 6,200 acres. It was initially 1,600 acres when they first gave us that 5 p.m. update last night, as their crews were still working to evacuate many people throughout the Superior and Louisville area as that wildfire began to spread throughout residential areas. Right now, we are at Highway 128 and McCaslin Boulevard, or McCaslin Road, I believe. McCaslin takes you all the way through Superior and then up to Louisville. Many of the subdivisions, many of the neighborhoods in that intersection or along that road, they are destroyed this morning. They are waiting until the sun rises so they can exactly see the damage that has been left behind. From where I am, you can actually see overhead. You are looking into Superior right now. You can see that there are a couple of different flashing lights from a couple of fire officials who are down there right now in emergency vehicles with roadblocks. But the one good thing this morning, you are not seeing any flames. You are not really seeing any smoke. Yes, there are a couple of homes still smoldering. Those officials are still working to get that under control at this time. But the most important thing, do not return to your home if you live in this area. We will continue to bring you all more. But for now, I'm Darius Johnson, live in Superior.
Darius, thanks very much. We will continue to check with you and get the latest throughout the morning. 9 News anchor Kyle Clark was up in that Harper Lake area. That's near where Gary Shapiro is. And he was able to take the time last night and check on some of those spots that many people were worrying about in Superior and Louisville. Superior Elementary, seen there, still standing as of 1 this morning. The sports stable, that's a big place, that's also still standing. And in Louisville, Monarch High School is okay, as is the rec center in the area. Unfortunately, some of the structures that you requested he check on did burn. So if you want to keep track with Kyle, of course, you should head to his Twitter page and keep an eye on things there. We were going to head over to Gary Shapiro in Louisville, but we'll be able to do that in just a second. We want to get back to the Boulder County fire coverage in just a second. Meanwhile, I want to address some very new developments that happened amidst this fire burning yesterday that many people were keeping track of. It's been the over a century-long sentencing of Rogelio Aguilera Medeiros.
Yes, Governor Polis reduced his punishment on Thursday for the deadly fiery crash on I-70 in Jefferson County back in 2019. Polis reduced Aguilera Medeiros' sentence to 10 years, an entire century taken off. The governor used his power to change the sentence after Aguilera Medeiros applied for clemency. Now, Dwayne Bailey, a relative of one of the victims, told 9 News that their family had a Zoom call with the governor yesterday. Bailey said Polis told them the sentence will be 10 years to, quote, correct the injustice of the first sentence.
And as far as our weathers go, we won't see any of those strong winds to 100 miles an hour or better, but we will be a little gusty as this next storm system moves our way. Temperature right now stands at 29 degrees, 51% humidity, clear skies to clouds to snow, and it's all coming our way. You can see by about 3 or 4 o'clock this afternoon, we see the snow begin to move into the area. Here it is around midnight. You could see a band of heavy snow right over Denver if you're out and about. And then it slowly ends, cloudy skies by 3 in the afternoon on Saturday, and then the sunshine comes right back. And then we start a warm up, believe it or not. But not until we have some pretty cold temperatures. Today's high just 38 as the snow continues to increase. The snow ends tomorrow, but look at the high, just 16 degrees. However, we're in the 40s seasonal on Sunday with partly sunny skies. Same for Monday and Tuesday as we approach that 50-degree mark.
Here we are, and the whole neighborhood's gone.
To Larrabee.
To go down there, and it's nothing. It's bones.
Lives uprooted.
It's like the neighborhood that you live in.
The most destructive fire in Colorado's history is still burning.
It's really a crisis.
9 News continuing team coverage, connecting you with the community that needs you most. Right now on 9 News Mornings.
And good morning, everyone. We start with some new images this morning of the Marshall Fire. Thousands of people, about 35,000 people, are still out of their homes after being evacuated yesterday. Hundreds of homes destroyed. They still believe it's more than 500. It's going to go up today. And it is, as Tom said, the Colorado's most destructive fire ever. Just a massive fire driven by those winds between 50 and 100 miles an hour. spread out all through Boulder County, Louisville, the Marshall Superior area, and over here at 68th and South Boulder Road, where I
We're having some technical difficulties with Gary right now, but we're talking a little bit about the 35,000 people now out of their homes and some of the evacuation orders that we're seeing too. We do have a map that we want to show you, the current evacuation map for Boulder County right here.
Well, that red area, of course, the hot spot, that's the area that remains under the evacuation order, and that's why there are 35,000 people evacuated, because that is Superior, that is Louisville. But to the north, that yellow is in a warning, a pre-evacuation order, if you will. The good news is the firefighters today will not be dealing with those winds that were caused so much trouble yesterday.
Yeah, they were just impossible as they got to hurricane-force winds up to 100 miles an hour. In some areas by Rocky Flats, we saw several hours of gusts to 100 and 115 miles an hour. We have clear skies now, as you see, as the sun begins to come up. 29 degrees right now. Clear skies, but here comes the snow, and by this afternoon, the snow begins to push into the metro area, and by midnight, we see it around here if you are out and about for the new year, and then we see the snow continuing into tomorrow. Cloudy skies by afternoon, clear skies by about 5 o'clock. Yes, the sunshine does return. Very cold air is left behind, though. Today, increasing clouds, snow developing, 38 degrees today. Then for tonight, we will see cloudy, snow, very cold, low down around 6 degrees, 2 to 5 inches falls. Then maybe another inch tomorrow as snow ends with clearing skies and cold. The high only 16 degrees, but it doesn't last very long. Look at Sunday, mostly sunny, warmer, 43. That's about normal for this time of year. Even warmer for your Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday, rain or snow showers as the next system comes our way.
I want to show you a clip of video. This from Avista Hospital in Louisville, right along the Boulder Turnpike, right next to the Cold Creek Golf Course. And this is what it looked like as the nursing staff was looking out the window. The flames and smoke closing in. In that video, you can see homes burning right across the parking lot. On the right side, you can see the firefighters working off a ladder truck as well, trying to put one of those fires out. This, the daylight hours of yesterday near Avista Hospital. Of course, that hospital had to be evacuated yesterday. All the patients, including ICU and NICU patients, all getting moved out safely yesterday. They transferred a total of 30 patients with the flames closing in. An additional 21 were discharged at the hospital, but it was a very difficult and sudden move that they had to make.
Sudden, a lot of people might be wondering about their loved ones and family. The number to call for any inquiries is 303-661-1848. Again, that number, if you're trying to get information about patients, loved ones at Avista Adventist, it's 303-661-1848.
Good Samaritan Medical Center in Lafayette had the same situation. They said the transfer of their most critical patients was completed. In all, there were 54 patients that had to be transferred to other SCL Health hospitals. They were able to get that done for fear that that fire might continue to make its way towards Lafayette. Yeah,
and the call came in for more healthcare professionals to come in. Extra doctors, nurses have been deployed to help. The remaining 100 patients at Good Samaritan are being cared for. Everyone at that location is safe this morning.
This is the...
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Get on the road, go eastbound. I mean, this is video of just utter confusion and chaos of you inside an evacuated Costco in Superior. People leaving the building to see this. A cloud of smoke, flying debris, chaos, and as you heard someone shouting, telling everyone to go eastbound out of the store because the other way was blocked. You can't even imagine the public panic that goes into this. And you were mentioning this earlier. I mean, it clouds your judgment. It paralyzes you in fear when you walk out of a store to see images like this.
If you see that much smoke, you know that fire is very nearby. You can't see it. You have to suddenly get your wits about you and figure out the best way to safely get out. Make sure that everyone gets out as well. 9 News reporter Darius Johnson has been up and down that fire zone this morning. He joins us now from a new location. Where are you now, Darius?
Hey, Tom and Natasha, good morning to you both right now. I am along Highway 128, right near McCaslin Road or Boulevard. exactly where I am, I want to be able to show you. This is the subdivision right south of Colton Road and a little bit east of McCaslin. This is an area of Superior where they are not allowing us to get through right now. They have sent all of the crews up here to this area to be able to look at it from a high vantage point. You can see that there are a couple of emergency vehicles lights flashing in some of these different neighborhoods this morning. Those could either be roadblocks or those could be fire crews or emergency vehicles trying to ensure that no one is trying to get through any of these neighborhoods. I did speak with one of the officials from Boulder County Incident Management Team. She tells me that at this time, they are still trying to put out some hot spots. There are still some homes smoldering in some of these neighborhoods. She says a lot of the damage is really along McCaslin, and a lot of it is to the west of Superior. She easily named Original Superior, Old Town Louisville, and she started talking about some of those areas. So it seems like a lot of it is heading west. Seems like the wind may be changing directions right now, because this is the first time that I'm really smelling smoke and actually kind of taking some of that in so far this morning. But I will tell you, it's a completely different scene than it was yesterday when our reporters were out here battling the wind, battling the flames as all of this was taking place. One other thing I want to be able to mention, right here along Highway 128 where we are, it seems like there are possibly residents who were possibly evacuated, who maybe didn't have anywhere to go. They're right here in their cars, just kind of sitting and waiting with their belongings. Tom and Natasha are going to go ahead and send it back to you two.
Well, the information is changing, and the information is very valuable to people right now as they try to sort out what to do next, what is still happening. And again, pretty soon the sun's going to come up, and it will tell quite a story about what has happened over these last 20 hours and what the next few days are going to look like for all these people.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about this. The last day of 2021 should be a day of celebration, saying goodbye to the year, and now people are having to deal with utter destruction. Phone calls to insurance agents this morning trying to figure out those next steps for now the new year, and it's just it's devastating on so many levels.
We'd already talked about 2021 being an incredibly difficult year for so many people. We just talked about those two hospitals having to evacuate. You think the taxation on the lives of the healthcare professionals in our lives, what they've already had to go through for more than a year now, and then for these people at Avista Adventist and Good Samaritan Hospital to suddenly have to do what they needed to do and move these patients to safety. And then you think of Boulder and the Boulder and its surrounding area, and the shooting this year back in March that took just was so hard on the hearts and minds of so many people. And now 2021 with one final haymaker on the way out the door on the last day and a half. These fires now damaging so many properties and obviously damaging so many lives as well. It's been a very difficult year that I think many will be glad to see go, but we'll see what 2022 brings. In Louisville, some of these images, the most powerful that we've seen, the homes just all raging in this neighborhood. Some left as just burned out shells. We'd seen many burn right down to the concrete pad.
And these were the devastating views that we saw around 4:40 Thursday evening, sent in by a viewer. Right now we've got 9 News reporter Jordan Chavez live in Louisville as well. Unbelievable devastation that we've seen. Where are you at and what are you seeing, Jordan?
Well, we're at the intersection of 96th and Dillon right now. We're still in front of that one closure. We're actually going to try to move up the road to see if we can get a different vantage point. But as you're hearing from all of our crews, a lot of them that were able to get in those neighborhoods are being asked to move out of the area. Of course, this is for safety reasons as this weather kind of starts to slightly change. We're seeing some of these wind gusts pick up just a bit. You heard Darius Johnson talking about those winds changing direction just a little bit. We're experiencing that in this same area as well. And just as Tom mentioned, we are kind of getting our first glimpse of that morning light as the sun starts to come up. So in just a few moments, we're going to be able to really see the destruction that has been caused by this fire the morning after. But like Darius said, it's a very different scene from what we were seeing out here yesterday. Yesterday, our crews were using words like quickly spreading, engulfed, and this morning it's more of hot spots and smoldering. But we will get to see with our own eyes exactly exactly what has been left behind by these fires. Absolutely heartbreaking and devastating, just as y'all were describing, especially given the time of year, especially when you know that people were just in their homes making memories on Christmas and all the holidays surrounding this time of year. And now, as everybody gets ready to celebrate a new year, they are left to only deal with this and for this to solely consume their minds and what's going to happen next. But here in Louisville, of course, we are seeing many closures just like this. I'm sure this surrounds the entire perimeter all the way into Superior. They're going to be seeing closures just like this one right now. Again, that's to keep people out, to keep people safe at this time, because these flames, they can really jump back up. We did see some smoldering over here just a few moments ago where we couldn't see any of those flames, just minutes before, and they have since died back down. But we have been told to be prepared to maybe even get pushed farther back, as this boundary may have to move again for everybody's safety here. But we are getting ready to see what this destruction might look like as that sun comes up. For people in the Louisville area, there is a water boil advisory that has been issued. This is extremely important because the reason this was issued is so that it can free up even more water for crews like you're seeing that are going in and out of this boundary, for them to be able to use to fight these fires, to fight these hot spots right now. And so we are going to be out here monitoring that situation. Again, we're going to try to move to see if we can get a different vantage point. If not, though, we'll be out here seeing exactly what these crews are fighting up against. In the meantime, I want to send it over to my colleague, Corey Reppenhagen. Corey, you were actually one of the crews that you were asked to move out of the area that you were in, I understand. Again, it's a very dangerous situation with this weather conditions.
Yeah, Jordan, you're right. We were just asked to move out of the neighborhood that we were set up in to do reports. And one of the things, the dangerous part of that, and I'm getting a sense that there's also a concern about what we've seen so many times in these fire incidents and severe weather incidents, where the disaster area becomes a tourist attraction when the sun comes up. And this is a day that we just cannot have that happen, because these first responders, emergency crews need to go in here and do house by house, or what's left of the home's assessment. And they are on a timeline, because when that storm comes in, we could get some heavy snowfall, and that's going to really cramp what they're doing. But what we've done is we've relocated now out of the neighborhood and up into a kind of a strip mall area here at McCaslin and Dillon Road. You can see the devastation here behind me. It's not just homes we're talking about here, but people have lost businesses. You can see this area here just north of 36. There are 4 businesses here. A canning superstore, a restaurant, a Subway here. The damage is pretty substantial. This is a loss to these 4 businesses, and what it looks like is that the fire jumped Highway 36 or spotted over and caught the grass right in front of this complex here and caught it on fire. And it's just these 4 businesses in here that's been damaged. The other buildings, the other businesses in this area have not. It does not look like it's received the damage. So it's just that one spot where the fire was able to jump Highway 36 and catch these businesses on fire. So it's not just homes, but we're also dealing with businesses that are lost out here. And they didn't ask us straight to tell everyone, but it should come as just common sense that we cannot have Superior and Louisville, these areas, become a tourist attraction. Let the first responders get their assessments done before that snow comes in.
Yeah, and all morning long we have been talking about the devastation and the impact that it's going to have on so many people. But if anything comes out of that devastation and out of that heartbreak, it is that sense of community, and it's all of those people who want to rally around these communities to help out. So we do want to list off a couple of organizations that are helping out, and ways for you to help as well. The Salvation Army is going to be providing 1,000 meals 3 times a day to evacuees and first responders. Those meals will be taken to the YMCA Evacuation Center in Lafayette. we'll be chatting. We actually did, chat with them earlier this morning, and they have some more tips on how you can help. You'll hear from him in a little bit. But the American Red Cross of Colorado also set up an evacuation center. The YMCA of Northern Colorado, you can always support them with monetary donations. The Community Foundation in Boulder County has set up a wildfire fund for people wanting to help with cash donations. And the Salvation Army says it's still too early to determine what material donations they will need, but if you are able to donate your time, that could be a very great help. Here's what he had to say.
That would help us as well if folks want to come out and help serve on one of our canteens, providing those meals. It's especially going to be important as the situation continues and our initial volunteers have to do things like go back to work.
And so we do have a running list on our website of all of these organizations that will very likely continue to grow probably by the end of the day and of course in the coming weeks. But we do want to get it over to Ed Green with the weather, because the weather has been such a driving force in these fires.
Well, it really has, especially yesterday when we had those winds up to 100 miles an hour. But check the winds right now at this hour, teens and 20s as far as the speeds go. But as the day goes on, they calm down just a little bit, only single digits and a few teens, and certainly that's the good news.
Well, we continue to track Colorado's most destructive fire still burning in Boulder County.
Continuing team coverage in just 2.5 minutes.
And remember that your life is most important. Things can be replaced.
Wait. 10 minutes away from 7 o'clock, daylight is starting to break across the Front Range, and this is a look at the boundaries of the Marshall Fire burning in Boulder County. These drawings come from InsaWeb. They are the best estimate at this point as to where that fire has been over these last 20 or so hours. Again, they are planning aircraft flights as soon as daylight allows and the wind conditions are better today to get some more accurate mapping on where this fire has been and where it is continuing to burn as they continue to try to get containment, try to get control over the entire Marshall Fire that's already done so much damage in Superior and Louisville. And the mayor of Superior, Clint Folsom, is kind enough to join us again to talk about what has happened over the past 20 hours. And now as daylight dawns, what lies ahead today? Mayor Folsom, what are your plans for this day today? It's going to be an incredibly busy day for you and many others.
Yeah, good morning. I'm starting the day out in Golden at a friend's house. We had to evacuate like everyone else, and the Boulder County Sheriff's Office will be on the ground probably all throughout the day and weeks and months ahead. But the initial task is making sure the area is safe, and then at that point we can look to open the town back up for residents. I know that's probably the number one thing that people are concerned about right now is getting back into town and assessing the situation on the ground there. But it is still a dangerous situation, and we don't want to have risk of additional lives from people, and just the congestion that it causes. Fire officials not being able to move around as quickly. So just ask residents to be patient. Sheriff's Office is going to do their important work in assessment and making the place safe.
Mayor Folsom, can you talk a little bit about the damage destruction totals that you might know right now?
I haven't heard anything more recent than what's been reported out, which is in the 500 to 600 structure range between Superior and Louisville. I drove around extensively last evening with the sheriff's sergeant and town manager, and the amount of devastation around was tremendous and even still ongoing as we were driving around.
Could you characterize these neighborhoods for us? I think many people drive by and may not have taken the time to visit Superior, but we talk about the Sagamore neighborhood being heavily impacted, Rock Creek, Old Town, Superior. Tell us about these areas, what they were like, and obviously what you fear may have happened there.
Yes. So the original town, Superior, was dated back 100 years ago to the coal mining days. That Superior was a coal mining town, and a lot of these structures were 100 years old. And unfortunately, just about all of them are gone, including our historic mining museum that we had and very proud of. It's gone, as well as just about most of the structures in original town. Unfortunately, Sagamore is pretty much entirely gone as well. Then the fire jumped to Rock Creek, and there are significant sections in Rock Creek that were affected as well. Superior is a wonderful community, and just a great place to live, and we're just all very sad about what's happened here.
Well, we appreciate you sharing some thoughts with us again this morning. Yesterday was one of the most difficult days ever, and it's going to be a heartbreaking day today, I'm sure, for many, but we'll stay in touch and hopefully be able to help the people of Superior as you are. Thank you, Mayor Clint Folsom from Superior.
Thank you.
And as far as the weather goes, at least those strong winds have died down. They're going to be a little gusty, but nothing like we saw yesterday. Clear skies at this hour, and 29 degrees is what we're seeing. We also have a lot of snow coming our way and colder air. That's all going to come down from the north, settle in here, and really change our things. And look at this, from Chicago all the way through Albuquerque, the mountains, and all the way to the west coast. These are nothing but winter watches, warnings, and advisories. So a lot of people going to be affected by this storm. Snow in the mountains, and it pushes over to the eastern plains as the day goes on. This is going to be a southerly storm, so that's why we get the upslope. That's why we're seeing snow over the eastern plains. That continues till Saturday, then it ends, and by Saturday 10 o'clock we're pretty much clear, and that's border to border. Winter storm warning from 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. for 12 to 22 inches for the 25 inches for the mountains, up to 3 feet in some places. And the blue shaded areas that you see are winter weather advisory for winds to 35 miles an hour and 4 to 8 inches of snow. Now, winter storm warning also in the foothills of Colorado as you get to the eastern side, 5 a.m. to 11 a.m. for up to a foot of snow, and the rest of it in the blue shaded area, winter weather advisory, 2 to 6 inches of snow, but there will be bands of heavy snow, and some could see more than that. Avalanche warning continues in the mountains till 8 a.m. on Saturday, and we have a wind chill advisory for wind chills to 29 below out on the eastern plains. Temperatures today mostly 30s, 40s, 50s. This is before the cold air comes in, 20s, 30s, 40s as you look to the west, and the lows tonight above and below the 0 mark with that snow coming our way. So winter weather advisory 11 a.m. today to 11 a.m. on Saturday with increasing cloud, snow developing, and 38 degrees. Tonight, cloudy, cold, 2 to 5 inches, 6 degrees. Then for tomorrow, snow ends with after another 1 to 2 inches and colder, 16 degrees, but then a nice warm up. We'll see 40s until Wednesday when the next system comes our way.
And you're taking a look at a business center that is completely damaged by the fire here in Superior. It's right along McCaslin and Dillon Road here, just to the north of the turnpike. And this business center has 4 businesses in it, and I can tell you there is substantial damage to the outside from the fire, and also inside the businesses there is also fire damage. So it's not just homes but businesses that we will be discussing about the loss. And as the sun starts to come up here on this day, what we thought was hoping would be just a bad dream is going to become a very sharp reality here when the sunlight shows the true damage of what we've seen here. We'll continue our live coverage here of this fire here in just a little while here in 9 News.
Colorado, I'm 9 News watch anchor and meteorologist Chris Bianchi. We all know how much of an outdoor state Colorado is, and that's why the weather here really matters. So as our temperatures cool off and we start to need more layers, whether you're heading out for a run, climbing a 14er, or looking for when to stay home and stay warm, we'll have you prepped for what to expect, either in English or, si tú prefieres, su pronóstico en español. 9 News weather, always here for you, either on air or on the app.